Hi everybody, this is Diane, and I have my two smash books done in a theme of chocolate. I used some covers from some really great looking chocolate cookbooks. So I'm going to go through one at a time. They're very similar. Each book is going to come with a bunch of extras that you can use to embellish your book, and I'll go through those in a minute. This was a book called Cooking with Chocolate. And I just love the cover with all the chocolate curls on it, the shaved chocolate, and it's on the back also. I just folded this kind of a pale mint color scrapbook paper around the edge. I goofed up on the punching, so there's an extra hole down there, just on the one side. Of course, it's on the front. I bound it with a 1-inch silver O-wire. And I made this little piece to put on the front. This one has a title on it. I didn't do anything to this cover, but this was just a sea of chocolate. And there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but I wanted to have something on the front. So I looked through my stamps and I found that it says "Life is Sweet." How much better than that on a chocolate book? So that's what I put on there. I cut these two pieces out with my Big Shot. I love the end paper also, with all the different flavors and percentages of chocolate. Some of them are darker chocolate, some of them are milk chocolate, there's white chocolate. It's just a beautiful picture. So the way I chose the colors for this was I used some pages from Paper Studio, Mix, Measure, and Stir. And the color scheme in that was this 50s kind of aqua color and kind of peach and pinky and maybe a little yellow. So I went with those colors in here. So this is just, it's just a huge variety of cardstock and papers. I'm not going to try to tell you what goes with what company because I don't even know. But this was just one of the papers that I had. And this is cut from one of the cookbooks, just a strip of instructional photos. This came out of one of my cookbooks, and I had to have that in one of these books that I'm making. Any flavor, as long as it's chocolate. Love that. So there's lots of room for you to write recipes. You don't have to use this as a chocolate recipe book. You can just use it as a general smash book. You just happen to like chocolate. So say you bought a unicorn journal because you like unicorns. You're not going to use a journal to write all about unicorns. Same with this. You don't have to use it just about chocolate. It can be about your life because life is sweet. So you include photos. You can put recipes in here if you want to. Ticket stubs, all the things you would put in a normal smash book. Write about those things. Here's one of my stamps. It says, "I like you better than chocolate, and I really, really love chocolate a lot." I made a little pocket here and included a recipe for Devil's Food Sheet Cake and just added this tag. So I used this set of papers in both of the smash books, and it came with a sheet of punch-out tags and things, so I split those up and put them in the smash books also. Just some blank pages that you can do things with. There's a stamp of some chocolates. I have some half pages. Here's from one of the, this is from actually this book, Cooking with Chocolate. Here's my stamp of a Hershey Kiss. Here I just clipped one of the tags onto the edge with a teardrop clip. This says to-do list: eat chocolate, do laundry, clean kitchen. At least you'll get one thing done today. And of course, eating chocolate has already been checked off. Here's one of the little tags that came in that sheet, and I just stapled it here. You could tuck something in there if you want to. Love this image from one of the cookbooks. I glued it on as a tuck spot. Included a recipe for cocoa souffle. This came from a little Hershey's little booklet. And then another of the tags. I made a copy of this handwritten recipe on this old, torn and stained and wrinkled up sheet paper, notebook paper. So I just made a copy of it and glued it onto the back of this page. It's a recipe for chocolate fudge. This was from that Mix, Measure, and Stir paper pad, so this is the color scheme that was part of that pad. Love this image here. There's lots of white space there. This is a heavy piece. On this one, I made 2 diagonal pockets and crisscrossed them, so I tucked in a little tag here and a vintage handwritten recipe for chocolate cake. Just glued a little tag up there. Oh, I didn't realize I had it back to back there, but there you go. And here I have a large envelope, and there's nothing, well, I did put a couple things in it, but you can tuck whatever you want to in here. You can tuck programs if you go to a concert or something. If we ever get released from our homes during this after this coronavirus, we'll be able to start living our lives again, and you'll be able to put things in this book. I cut down a page from one of the recipe books and just glued it to the back of the envelope. Put this little image of a chocolate candy there on the corner, and I just put a recipe page from the Baker's Chocolate little recipe book that I have. But you can put whatever you want to in that envelope. I made a little side tuck here with these chocolates. Love that image. And here is a recipe from a vintage magazine for Eagle brand chocolate pie, and it comes with a little order form that you could order the little recipe booklet. You can journal on the back or put a picture there. And here's just a recipe card, a blank one. This is an embossed piece of cardstock. You probably can't see it, but when you get the book, if you order this one, you'll be able to see and feel the embossing. It's yellow on one side and white on the other. There's another half page. There's my stamped chocolate bar. That looks pretty good. Here, this came out of a book, and it was different kinds of chocolates, just an image of the advertising or the packaging, and I cut it out as a tuck spot and glued it to some cardstock. And I included this large recipe. Looks like it's from the 70s, I would say, from the colors. Look at, it's got giant flower petals, looks like, made out of crepe paper or something. But it opens up, and it's got cafe au lait cheesecake and chocolate glazed cheesecake de menthe. So that must be the cafe au lait, because this looks like the light green. So you got some recipes there, and then a blank card. I was glad to have something large to put one of those large recipes in. I wanted something interesting to put onto this page, so I fussy cut this out of one of the books. Doesn't that look luscious? And I just glued it on there as a decoration, but I like the way that this little drip echoes this big little stream of chocolate. I just want to lick that. And then look at that. How fun. There's a pocket here, and it contains a recipe card from a Hershey's Recipe Club, it looks like. Hershey's Food Corporation. Looking for a date. I don't see a date. But it's got Hershey's Best Loved Chocolate Cheesecake, and then a handwritten recipe for Eskimo cookies. I don't think this is very old, but it was in a box of recipe stuff that I got at a flea market. And then a recipe card. This doesn't look like old handwriting. I want that in the front. And there's the back. With the book comes this pile of cut-offs from some of the papers. I had to fold them because they were 12-inch lengths. And then we got some smaller pieces of the papers. You can make embellishments or make more pockets or turn them into journaling cards, just write on the back and tuck them into a pocket or whatever. So you get quite a few pieces of scrapbook paper. You get 2 pages from 2 different cookbooks. I think they're actually from these 2 recipe books that I turned into smash books. A blank recipe card, a page from the Baker's chocolate book, just a couple of images from some of the books, and then this little glassine bag with the words chocolate, chocolate pies, whatever I had cut out and didn't use in the junk journals that I made. I just put those words in the vellum. So you can add those. You can use your scrapbook pages and use the words and some of these images. Make your own embellishments and have fun. And add them to your smash book. Now I'm going to go through quickly the other smash book. I won't go through the packet. The images are different, of course, but you get the same kind of things. This is a Betty Crocker's chocolate cookbook, and I want to measure these so you know how big they are. This one is 7.5 by 10 1/4. This one's just a little smaller. This one's 7 3/4, so it's wider, but it's 9.5. So they're pretty close in size. So with this one, I didn't want to cover the end papers in here, so I just took a 1.5 inch strip of scrapbook paper and wrapped it around and taped it with my red line tape along the edges so it stays real good. And I think I put glue farther in, so anyway, it's secured there very well. But it's just a 1.5 inch strip. For this one, I wanted to cover the inside, so I took a sheet of paper that would cover the paper or the book and then wrap around this side. So I made it wider than it needed to be and then wrapped it around to cover the raw edge. And so I did that on both covers. So I'm just going to go through this more quickly. This one has a label that you can write on. I don't think I put one in the other one. I'll have to do that. It has the same setup, but of course just different images. This one has Chocolate Lover's Torte. I love this. It came out of one of the books, and it's the making of chocolate. So it just has like a crosscut of a chocolate factory in the olden days. And this is from chocolate factories and that to the Swiss chocolate maker's art. So I didn't cover that. You can certainly put pictures and whatnot there. I don't even know what this is. Automatic vending machine for selling candy. Isn't that cool? So you might want to read that. It might be interesting. And there's a large tag here, clipped here. Somebody was texting me. I don't know who it is, but we're going to keep going here. There's a picture of a little chocolate souffle, and it's a tuck spot. And in it is Picnic Cocoa Fudge Cake from that little Hershey's booklet with cocoa fudge nut frosting and cocoa syrup home style, and this fun-looking tag. Again, it's that copied recipe for chocolate fudge. There's one of the flyleaf papers from the other book. Again, the angled pockets with a vintage recipe for chocolate butter frosting and a little tag. This is, maybe I should put washi tape on that because it's cracked. I'll let you do that. I don't want to mess with your vintage recipe. There's a little tag there with a rose on it. This came out of a book of collectible canisters and things, and this whole section was all about chocolate cocoa and the cocoa that you cook with and hot cocoa that you would drink, I think. Yeah, breakfast cocoa. So all of these cans were just cocoa cans, which I thought was pretty cool. There's another of the side pockets, and a vintage ad for Baker's Deluxe Dutch Process Breakfast Cocoa, the most distinguished cocoa ever made in America. I'd like to try a cup of it. I like my cocoa made with milk. I don't like the ones that you just add hot water to. Here's the envelope with a fun recipe page from a vintage book. And this one has the baker's chocolate, but it also has this page that I happen to have left over from previous chocolate books that I had made. And this is a printable from TLC Creates Vintage. For the, I forgot the name of it. But it's a chocolate themed journal kit. And that was the only thing I had left over from it. Here we have some more of the cocoa tins and a handwritten recipe for fancy fudge. One of the big cards. Chocolate peanut butter majestics, majestic cake, and majestic squares. And then a blank recipe card. Here's a chocolate bunny rabbit. Probably an Easter centerpiece. And here is a, oh, I want a piece of that. That looks so good. And Black Forest cake, and then a blank recipe card. So there we go. Whoop, that one slipped out. And again, you get the packet. So I have 2 Smash books. They are in my shop right now, unless somebody beat you to them. So we have Betty Crocker's Chocolate Cookbook, and then I'm just going to call this one Life is Sweet Chocolate Smash Book. Okay, so I will leave the link to my shop below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back again with another project. Thank you. Bye-bye.